Okay, Hare Krishna. So please, who would like to start your realizations over there? So today we are less number of devotees going to do realizations. So please feel free. Mata is devotees. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we're studying Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 27. Uchay Shvasam Ashwana Vidhimam Amrito Bhavam Airavatam Gajendrana Naranam Cha Naradipam Uchay Shvasam Ashwana Vidhimam Amritodbhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam Cha Naradipam. For word to word synonyms, translation purport, Shri Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Uchay Shavam, Uchay Shav, Ashwanam, among horses. Vidhi, no. Mam, me. Amrit, Udbhavam, produced from the churning of the ocean. Airavatam, Airavat, Gaj Indranam, of lordly elephants. Naranam, among human beings. Cha, and Nar Adhipam, the king. So Uchay Shav among horses, know me, produced from the churning of the ocean. Airavat, of lordly elephants, among human beings and the king. Translation. Of horses, know me to be Uchay Shav, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavat, and among men, I am the monarch. Purport. Devotee demigods and the demons, asuras, once took part in churning the sea. From this churning, nectar and poison were produced, and Lord Shiva drank the poison. From the nectar were produced, from nectar were produced many entities, and of which there was a horse named Uchesha. Another animal produced from the nectar was an elephant named Airavat. Because these two animals were produced from nectar, they have special significance, and they are representatives of Krishna. Among the human beings, the king is the representative of Krishna, because Krishna is the maintainer of the universe. And the kings who are appointed on account of their godly qualifications are maintainers of their kingdoms. Kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir, Maharaj Parikshit, and Lord Ram were highly righteous kings who always thought of the citizens' welfare. In Vedic literature, the king is considered to be the representative of God. In this age, however, with the corruption of the principles of religion, monarchy decayed and is now finally abolished. It is to be understood that in the past, however, people were more happy under righteous kings. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Krishna is actually describing his opulences as we studied in previous verses as well. And here he's declaring that among the horses, he says, know me to be Uchesha, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. So Srila Prabhupada gave a very nice purport here, where he referred when demigods and all the asuras, they took part in churning the ocean. And as a result of that actually churning, there was a poison was produced, and Srila Prabhupada already mentioned that Lord Shiva actually drank that poison. And then from the nectar, there are various things were actually produced, even the living entities. And out of that, there was a horse named Uchchaisha. So this Uchchaisha, actually, I wanted to know more about that. And there is a reference, actually, I found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, chapter 8, verse 4, where it says, it just translation is given there by Srila Prabhupada. As a result of the churning, the king of elephant named 8.8.3. Thereafter, a horse named Uchchaisra, which was as white as moon, was generated. And Bali Maharaj desired to possess this horse. And Indra, the king of heaven, did not protest, for he had previously been so advised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is some information is given here that Uchchaisra, the horse, as it is said that it has a special significance because it is born out of that nectar. And it is also described here is the horse was white color, it was white as the moon. And Bali Maharaj, the king of Asuras at the time, he actually desired to possess that horse. In the next verse, it is again information is given about Airavat, where it says that as a result of churning, the king of elephant named Airavat was generated. And this elephant was white, and with his 4 tusks, it defied the glories of Kailash mountain, the glorious abode of Lord Shiva. So the actually Airavat, also from what I know, this actually elephant was later actually taken by Indra. And further, Krishna says in this verse that among the human being, is a monarch, so the king, and king is a representative of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. And I was meditating on this point, and here it is said that on account of their godly qualifications, the king is actually appointed, and he's the maintainer of the kingdom. So the king, supposed to have the godly qualifications, and in order to have the godly qualification, from my understanding is that one need to be a devotee of Lord Krishna, So when you follow in the footsteps of the pure devotees, then it is said that the godly qualification, they automatically manifest in the devotees. And here the example of the Maharaj Yudhishthir, Maharaj Parikshit and Lord Ram were given. And they, Maharaj Yudhishthir and Maharaj Parikshit, they also have godly qualities. And Lord Ram is himself is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita verse, chapter 3, verse 21, Yadyad acharati shreshtas tad evataro jana sa yat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Here it is said that whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standard he set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So here also it is said that actually the king or the executive head of state or a father or a school teacher, all considered to be natural leaders of innocent people in general. And all such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with the standard books of moral and spiritual codes. So here, it is said that means king or even the actually head of the family as a father, and even the guru or school teacher, they are all considered as a natural leaders, and they are actually responsible for their dependents. So in order to actually lead people, and if you want to actually really worried about their welfare, then first you must actually behave properly. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said that actually before you begin actually teaching, you should behave accordingly. Then that person is called Acharya. And he says that teacher cannot manufacture rules against principle of revealed scriptures. And revealed scripture like Manu Samhita and similar authors are considered standard book to be followed by human society. So from what actually I can understand, that actually Krishna says here, among the human, he's a king. And as it says that in today's world, actually, the leaders that we got here, the state of head, they're not the devotees. Most of the actually in nations that you see, and they are not actually following any standard actually codes of a moral or spiritual codes, and that's why the today's society is misdirected. And we do not see people in general, they are very much happy. In fact, nowadays, because all the things that is happening during last few years, with the COVID and now the actually the crisis, economic crisis that is going on, nobody's happy. Everybody's suffering, and that could be also one of the reasons that our leaders they are not actually trained, spiritually trained, or they're trained in moral or spiritual values. Because if you look at actually Lord Ram, he was a king, so we studied this, and the reference is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says that when Lord Ram was a king, then everybody in his kingdom was very happy, and all the direction were very auspicious. Even rain used to only fall during a night, so people can actually wake up in the morning and they can actually go in the field and do their agriculture activities. There was no actually disease or even the old age, and even there was no death for the people who do not want it. So such was the actually description of Ram Raj. So Lord Ram himself is the incarnation of Lord Krishna, had all the godly qualities. So it is very important, if you want to become a leader, then it is imperative that actually, if you want to actually lead your dependents, if you want to make them Krishna conscious, then you have greater responsibility. You should take the lead, and you behave properly, and by setting the example, then you can lead them, accordingly. So that is actually what I understood. And even now we are doing the preaching, and when we actually preach, then it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly mentioned that actually before we begin to actually teach, we should actually behave. We should walk that path first. So it's a great responsibility. It's not an easy task to become a preacher. So yeah, that is something to actually meditate on. So that is my realization, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else, please? Mataji? Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shikadu, for your nice realization on this verse. So of the horses, know me to be Uchai Shrava, who rose out of the ocean, born of the elixir of immortality. Of lordly elephants, I am a Ravat, and among men, I am the monarch. So during the Samudra Manthan, Many important things came. But the poison that came first, it is said it was a very dangerous poison. It was spreading all over the universe. So that means we're talking about the poison also had some kind of life. It was spreading all over the universe. Everybody was afraid, became afraid of this. So then they requested Lord Shiva, drink the poison. He drank the poison, and that's when he became known as Nilakant. Because of the poison, the throat became bluish in color. And the celestial horse, Uchai Shava, Uchai Shava. Bali Maharaj took that horse. And when the great elephant came, Airavat, he and others, they could move in any directions they wanted. But in Indra, except for them. And then also others, like even goddess of fortune came. So this was a very troublesome process of churning, very troublesome. And it required both the demigods and demons to work together. So here Vishnu was present, Lord Vishnu. Then when Dhanvantari incarnation, partial expansion incarnation also appeared, there's also Lord Vishnu present. He came with that mortal, with the jar of immortality, the nectar. And even the tortoise on whose back this whole churning was taking place, was also incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So the Lord Vishnu was present in different forms at the same time. Now, Krishna is saying amongst men, I'm the monarch. So he's not saying he represents, he said, I am. Now, this, we have to spend a little time on this subject. Very till recently, till, if you know, when Nepal, the country Nepal, became a democracy, when Nepal became a democracy, till that time, the king there was called representative of Narayan. He was called the representative of Narayan. Because it was the only Hindu kingdom in the world. Now it's no longer. Um, Rajarshis are those kings who are like rishis. Their training was so many that they were sages amongst men, leaders of the society. Depending upon their actions, the whole society followed. So, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Bol. So you guys, I was muted all the time, was it?
Now we can hear you.
You could hear me before?
Yes.
So when did you stop hearing? What is the last point?
Now you speak about that Nepal and all that. Yeah.
What is the last point? Okay, anyway, I'll continue with this. So the Rajarshis, the rishis amongst kings, that was the aim of the priests who were guarding the kings. So the Vedic way of life was that the Vedic culture was that the king, the monarch, would rule and he would be guided by his society of priests or priest. And the priest generally became the guru of the king and the whole dynasty. And would guide the king. If you see the same thing followed before democracy came in, other religions came in. Earlier it was just the Vedic religion going in the world, being followed in the world. So if you see even Christianity after the Kurukshetra war, when things became, all the world was one at the time. It became different with the poverty, etc. They, the king also had a priest or set of priests to guide him. You see, it's the same very culture following. Same thing in Islam also. But so much of the history is distorted in this world today that these things a sharp observer will observe with the firm foundation of knowledge in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada's teachings. I have yet to come across anyone's teachings who talks about the whole world order, who was following the Vedic way of life. Nobody has preached so boldly like this in the whole world. The whole world is going to be saved. At least to follow Vedic religion. There's one religion in the world which is Sanatana Dharma. After the Kurukshetra war, which came up, they also had the same thing, king and the priests. And they would say, you are representing God. So he also was very cautious about what he has to do and what not. Although degradation became very heavily. And Mahabharata also predicted that this tract of land which ruled the whole world would be ruled by Yavanas. He predicted this. Yavanas means those from the Middle East, that India, and Malachas, means meat eaters, cow eaters, etc. You see, so we are facing this degradation at all stage. And as I've said many times, Srila Prabhupada says that any leader, be it the prime minister, be it community leader, be it the king, be it the president, be it the father, or any group, is a leader, is a representative of, and he has to take karma for wrong decisions. You see? So don't be fooled that the followers should be closing their eyes and following the leader. They don't take karmas. No, they will. But leaders should be especially careful. So that's the reason why conversions of one needs to be aware about the scriptures. So then one can lead. And that leads to my point of preaching as well. Srila Prabhu did mention about this in his realization. In preaching, we have to be very, 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 very careful. That is the reason why. Because preaching, we are handling Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, And this knowledge, even if slightly distorted, can destroy the whole system, you see, completely. So one has to be very careful. And that is the reason why preaching is done on behalf of one's authority. And the Guru says you must, then it happens. And usually the preacher who preaches becomes a Guru. So, under whose direction things are moving. Because ultimately, living beings, somebody has to pick them up from the gutters, and teach them. We have a unique system in ISKCON. So, when things are running smoothly, you must know that there's somebody's brain behind it, somebody's prayers behind it, somebody's sadhana behind it. Always remember this. And this is an invisible hand. I was talking to a devotee then. This is a very invisible hand because of which all of us feel protected. And it is this invisible hand who quietly is praying and planning and coordinating for the overall everyone's welfare. See? So when we are preaching, we are fighting, we are declaring war against Mayadi. You cannot win against Maya. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Haladini Shakti works in two ways. When one it is coming from Krishna, bestowed the pure devotion service takes place. But when it is coming from individual working under the conditions of external energy, then that living being starts to think that he is the controller. It works the other way. This is the meaning of it. It destroys living being. So these are very delicate issues. And most of the time, we don't even have the proper etiquettes that we follow in dealing with other senior Vaishnavas and Acharyas. You see, moment the senior Vaishnava reduces the bar down, we go down easily. The product is easy. That is not how one should follow. The senior may lower the bar for various reasons, which we do not know. But we should be very particular in our etiquettes. Because if we are in the archa, in the initial series of devotional service, these etiquettes help us. And when we grow in our bhakti, these etiquettes also grow with us. Don't think that the seniors they act without etiquettes. They are very, very particular about etiquettes. We should never ever, we will be very, very particular. When we are new, we show very big etiquettes. When it becomes conversant, we sort of, lack in this, slack. I was telling you an example of it, Guru Maharaj, the same thing. Those who are with Guru Maharaj, living there in the area, start to become slack. Maharaj did not like it. He did not say a word to them. Maharaj was laughing with them. They would crack jokes, Maharaj would laugh, Maharaj like what they laugh. Very close will find. But part of the Maharaj would tell that this person is not good, not doing the right thing. See? And the person is blissfully unaware. You think everything is good? I'm laughing, the Guru is laughing, Acharya is laughing, I'm laughing. Wonderful things are going on. That's not how it is. So those who are following these etiquettes and these devotional activities step by step very thoroughly, they have a very special place in the heart of this. As I said, all of us would follow initially, and then we drift away, a little bit here and there. And they, the seniors, very lovingly forgive, but we must not take that forgiveness. We are interested in serving them properly. So please be very careful, very careful. If you want to become a leader, you must become a follower. During that time, when Maharaj is saying these things. So I said, Maharaj, but if somebody wants to become a leader, they have to become a big, good follower first. Maharaj said, absolutely correct, Maharaj. You know this because you're doing this in your preaching, your program is going on. I said, yes. So Maharaj appreciated this point. Only a good follower can become a good leader. If everything has to be told, then what is the meaning of good follower? One has to learn. First class student is going to learn. And one learns from everywhere and everybody. With one instructions, you can get so many instructions in information. So this leadership qualities is very important. It will dilute us anytime. We have to be very, very careful. I don't know how to say this. And that's the reason why I'm sorry to say that when people would want to be initiated within the study of ISKCON or wherever, they have to make their own judgment calls because we don't know. See, as long as Maharaj was there, I know. There are so many devotees who are very good devotees, very nice, very good qualified. I'm not saying no. But then the judgment has to be theirs. And if things run into chaos in an organization, that means something has gone wrong from the top. So one has to be very careful, very, very careful, and very intelligently follow. And if one is not qualified, one should not force oneself to be qualified. And those who are very qualified, they will never force themselves to be qualified. It's a very intelligent way of finding out who's qualified. See? And the blessings, when you see that you're blessed, that means your seniors are doing the correct job. Because their seniors are doing the correct job, they also feel blessed. Because their seniors are doing the correct job, because they also felt blessed. You see, this is parampara. Don't try to see parampara somewhere else very high in the sky. It's very, very feel and touch and feel experience. When you feel, the feeling is very important. Srila Prabhupada asked this question in Mumbai. Prabhupada said, how do you know that Krishna is happy? So there are many authorities there, big, big sannyasis, Prabhupada's close followers. They all gave very philosophical answers. Prabhupada said, no, 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 no. They gave very right answers, but very philosophical answers. How do you know that Krishna exists? So after a long discussion there, one was a very new devotee. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I feel the presence of Krishna. Prabhupada said, yes, this is the thing. You feel the presence. See? This is a self-realization process. What you feel, you can tell somebody else, yeah, I feel. But that other person cannot experience it. Just like you say, I feel full after eating prasadam. My stomach is full, I feel full. That means you feel full, but other person will say, okay, he feels full. He doesn't have any more capacity to eat. But he will not experience the fullness. This is the point which says Krishna consciousness is a self-realization process. So the leader has a big responsibility. Against all kinds of impediments, the leader has to be having cool mind. Leader cannot afford to make too many mistakes. Otherwise, the followers will not follow him. Or her. If a leader makes mistakes, the followers are not going to follow you when you make mistakes. Man. That doesn't mean leader is perfect. He's transcendental. No, no, he's not. But if he follows the parampara properly, then he becomes perfect. As long as he follows that. See? So this is the problem in our society today, religious society, where unqualified people are posing themselves as qualified. And they would give such nice classes, such nice realizations, top realizations. But actions are so bogus. Otherwise, how do you say this? There were 40 years in the whole organization where everybody knew there are rapes of children going on, raping going on. But still nobody spoke a word. 40 years. I'm sorry to say these things. This speaks volumes to me about whom to follow and whom not to follow. You see? Here, will anyone spare any one of us if we knew something was going wrong for even 6 months and we kept quiet? No, we won't spare. For 40 years, we are willing to spare. This is called illusion. You see, Prabhupada, as a leader, had to take many decisions, many controversial things Prabhupada said. Because if I tell you, you'll be very surprised. One of the things Prabhupada said was that, you know something, Hitler was not a bad man. Hitler was good, Prabhupada said. It is American propaganda, the Western propaganda made him into a bad man. Now come to think of it, when I came to New Zealand, I stayed with a Swiss couple from Switzerland. Switzerland is made up of two kinds of people. One is French Switzerland, second is German Switzerland. So they were German Swiss. They said Hitler did was a very good thing. Everybody was happy in his group. But this whole propaganda against him was. Now I do not know, don't get me wrong. Concentration camps and Jews and all those things are true, but how it worked, I do not know. You never know. Because truth is always suppressed. You see, when propaganda has to be understood by a leader, just like when people were talking and were excited about going to the moon, Prabhupada said we never went to the moon. You cannot go to the moon. Devotees left Prabhupada. So what is this going on? I don't want to become follower of this kind of thing, which one doesn't follow the science. So after many days, on the front page of Walking to the Moon, Prabhupada opened the newspaper, and at the back pages, there's a small write-up to say that the government is going to increase the tax because they're going to the moon. Prabhupada said this is the reason why they're talking about going to the moon. It's going to increase the taxes. See, the increase in taxes has come at the back pages, small article. Similarly, see, I'm not trying to stir anything wrong or any controversy. I'm just letting you know things are. A leader has to be very particular about a lot of things. When people follow you, you have to be very careful. See, even during the COVID time, many devotees did not take injections. Now you'll be surprised to know we heard, we watched this Mataji, Prabhupada disciple, yeah, what's that? Govinda Dasi, Govinda Mataji. We saw the last. She said, she gave an interview. And in the interview, she said that Prabhupada would not have taken lecture. So they have lost the plot and they tell me. Now my position was, no, no, you can take lecture, no problem. It's up to you. You take it, don't take it, it's your problem, no problem. You know? I took it, and I'm saying the third one was very bad for everybody. Honestly, I'm saying this. So if some Prabhupada could say this, that when I went to the moon, he could see through the whole, whole, whole media, whole propaganda, whole story being given to us. He was telling us and showing us how we should be keeping our eyes and ears open. So many years later on, I also give an example many times that when America went to Iraq fighting their war, they got weapons of mass destruction and they killed that leader who was again a Tommy. Don't worry about it, he's a good man. I'm not saying he's a good man. But there were no weapons of mass destruction. Why is nobody talking about this? The sugar lobby. Why is nobody talking about this? For 35 years, we were given the falsity to say that, oh, the the cream and the ghee and all is bad. Nobody's talking about sugar. After 35 years, they admitted, yeah, in that research, they had paid the researchers, the sugar lobby, means who? This soft drink manufacturers, to take away the narrative from sugar and put into this fat industry and meat industry. See, they create a story, they sell a story, in a video in the story. It's finished. They went into Iraq, created Iraq, destroyed Iraq, big mess. From where ISIS came. Then they went to Syria because Iran petrol was there in Iraq. See? And then the Shias came into power in the vacuum. So they went to Syria. Then the Russians came there. It's all everything is money oriented. A devotee is so clever that if you study Srila Prabhupada's books, that's why Srila Prabhupada's books are very unique. And not only books, Prabhupada's teachings in the form of his spoken words, especially when he speaks during morning walks, if they're not edited out, or his talks, those are real nectar. You see, just like Prabhupada talking about Paramatma and intuition. There's nothing like intuition, it's Paramatma. This came in a morning walk session. So if you are going to be, all of you are going to remain naive, where you don't want to read Prabhupada's books fully, you don't want to read all these instructions of Prabhupada, then you will not want to preach effectively. You have to study. You will have to understand this. You see? And then there are those who say, these are his disciples. When Prabhupada are quoting Shastra, he is infallible. But when he's not quoting Shastra, he's fallible. Just imagine. And I will not give the name, but you also will worship the person there when it comes to your local area. But if you understood who's speaking why, then you will not do this. You see, one has to be very, very careful whom to follow, whom not to follow. What do you mean by Prabhupada when he quotes Shastra, he's infallible? When he does not quote Shastra, he's fallible. Wow. So a leader, my point about making is this, that a leader has to take a lot of things, understand a lot of things, and steer a lot of things. So just as in our organization, now all of you are leaders, all of you are teaching now, all of you are preaching now. So I'm doing other things of preaching. With my limited intelligence, we are aligning things, we are visualizing things. That's how this program happened for Bashidabhi. And more alignments will take place. See? So one needs to have a cool head. And don't expect to get cool head from surrounding people or surrounding situation. It's not going to happen. Because they are also victims of Maya own. You have to take extra precautions to keep your head cool, even under extreme situations. even in the tormenting situations. This is the meaning. Once you do that, that's when you see the blessings of the higher authorities. When we are thoroughly honest in our approach, that's when we see Krishna's hand. When we are not honest, don't expect Krishna's hand. No matter how big the person you are, no matter how many thousands of followers you have got. I have witnessed pure devotees having no followers. I have witnessed it. No followers, very few followers, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I've seen that pure devotee. So tomorrow when you're preaching, don't be fooled by somebody having many, many followers. Don't be fooled. You follow on my words which I'm telling you. I've seen Guru Maharaj with far less number of followers than other who have got so many thousands of followers. All glories to them. I'm saying that pure devotee doesn't mean they are always have more followers. No, not necessarily. I asked Maharaj also. Maharaj said, no, don't worry. There are also problems over there. Maharaj told me this way. Okay? So I just thought I'll give different ideas, different angles. And don't be fooled by the propaganda. If you have been forced, coerced, threatened, then incentivized, non-incentivized. If you have been pushed into a corner to do something, you can safely understand they don't want you to do something right. That's what happened in recent COVID times. And it will keep happening. You have to follow the straight line. And a devotee, a Vaishnava, is that person who does not, who asks questions, who is independently thoughtful, and who cannot be fooled. Prabhupada did not have all this access to information that we have today. There are not even video recordings of this. How did he say when you are going to go? And so many such things about Paramatma. So many other things also. He could see through things that they want to make money. That's what it was. Okay. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Anyone want to say anything? Please feel free. Please don't take me wrong. I'm just this information is for our leaders program only. I know this will be recorded. It will be uploaded in our social media. I would like to put a disclaimer that these are my views. In my understanding of Srila Prabhupada, I'm not criticizing anybody, anything, any government, any organization, nothing like that. This is for my training to people who follow Hare Krishna. We can, my leaders do. And they are also free not to follow. Sorry. Hare Krishna. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone wants to say anything, please feel free. Have any questions or evaluations before we finish today's program? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay then. Hare Krishna. So we complete conclude our today's discussion. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. What synonyms, translations, and purpose of the Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Shantai God Chandra Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.